Graham Potter is Chelsea's latest summer signing, and he's been appointed as the new head coach. Here's everything that you need to know about what he's going to bring to Chelsea and the main areas that he must focus on upon his arrival. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Like I mentioned, this is going to be a Graham Potter special where I go through why he was so successful at Brighton, what he needs to do to make him successful at Chelsea, and the key areas that he needs to tackle as well. I was going to post this video yesterday when Graham Potter was announced as the new head coach, but with the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, I wanted to be respectful and not release anything, so I'm going ahead and posting it today. To start off, Graham Potter is a very flexible coach, and he has implemented his Brighton team in a variety of different systems. Last season, they played the majority of their time in a 3-5-2 for 13 games, but they also were deployed in a 3-4-3 for 8 games and a 4-2-3-1 for 7 games. Now, this sounds familiar to Chelsea fans, and I think that this could help him get a head start with the team because the formations that Brighton and Chelsea were playing in are not so different. He also has a great eye for making tweaks on the team based on the opponent and how he sees the game progressing. For example, against Fulham recently, they started off in a back 3. He realized after 15 minutes that it wasn't working, and he changed to a back 4. It's very flexible tactically. I think this is going to help him get a head start at Chelsea because he is aware of how Chelsea have been playing. He's going to be aware of the personnel that he has available. He's going to make a fresh assessment of this personnel and kind of identify the best system going forward, because I think that's something that for me has been the most difficult, is that we have a lot of different players from a lot of different managers and systems, and they all tend to thrive under different formations, and we saw that it was working under Tuchel when he first took over, and then towards the end of his reign it seemed to not be working anymore. And a prime example of that was Hakim Ziyech coming on against Dinamo Zagreb, and it just didn't look like he was convinced about where he was playing. And I think a lot of players from the reports that have come out have complained about how they had been being utilized. So I think that this is something that Graham Potter is going to identify, and he's going to be able to be flexible, because I felt that towards the end we were getting more flexible, but the team wasn't sure about which positions they should be playing in and how their role was in that new system, and I think that that's something that's going to change with Graham Potter. The second thing that Graham Potter loves to do is play possession-based football. It's something incredible that we saw Brighton go from this punting team and counter-attacking to really being possession-based, and this change based off their goalkeeper and the principles that Graham Potter enables them to have. Another key aspect is that they try to win the ball back super high up on the pitch as well in order to gain possession near the opponent's goal. This is something that we noticed with Chelsea, that we play with a lot of possession, but it seemed that the team was out of ideas in terms of the attacking patterns. I don't know if Tuchel gave them more free rein, but it just seemed that with low block teams especially, we just didn't have any ideas for how to break them down, and there was an over-reliance on the wing backs. Chelsea have a ton of really great attacking options, but I don't think that they have been necessarily utilized to play to their strengths. So I think that this is something that Graham Potter is going to hopefully change. Defensively as well, I think that Chelsea have been missing massively N'Golo Kante, who's out injured, but Rudiger and Christensen, who left on a free this summer. The team defensively just has not looked the same, especially the defending of set pieces, that they have been all over the place, already conceding 4 so far this year. And hopefully with the principles that Graham Potter can implement, it's going to shore up a lot of the doubt that has risen in the position so far. Third, and maybe the most important one, is that Graham Potter is extremely capable of improving players in the squad, and that's something that it feels was kind of left unhinged from the reports that I read. There were a lot of players that didn't know where they stood, they didn't know how they could get back into the team, they didn't know what they needed to do, they were being played out of position, they didn't know how to impress in a position that wasn't natural to them. And I think he's going to be able to take a hard look at this team and identify the key players that he wants to have. It's a clean slate for every everybody a time for them to impress. There's certain players that have been on the outskirts for a while or have been played out of position. Trevor Chalobah, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Christian Pulisic, Hakim Ziyech. All of these players I think could potentially benefit from Graham Potter coming in. It's going to be up to them to impress him in, I don't want to say preseason, but in training. It feels like a preseason now, but in training, in order to get their playing time on the pitch and have their performances speak for themselves. So I think that is going to be massive. We saw what he did with McAllister, who's arguably been Brighton's best player so far this season. In previous seasons he was playing more attacking up the pitch, but this season he's playing a bit deeper as a DM role, and he's adjusted to it magnificently. Also scored 3 penalties and a free kick already, and I think that just speaks to Graham Potter's man management and how he can visualize positions for players but also implement them as well and have them be clear on what their instructions are and how and where they should be playing. I think that he's going to be really successful in this and being able to identify the players that he has at his disposal and creating something. But the key thing here is that it's not going to happen overnight. We're seeing his work with Brighton now. But he was appointed over 3 years ago, I believe. And in the first year he finished 15th, then he finished 16th, and then last year he finished 9th. So we're really just seeing the fruits of his labor now. So this isn't going to be a short-term fix. There are a lot of problems in this Chelsea team that need to be sorted out, and that's not going to happen overnight. There are going to be some bumps along the way, but it seems that the new owners, by handing out a 5-year contract, are going to be going with him and supporting him in that and sticking by him. So it's interesting because I don't believe that Graham Potter has ever had this big opportunity to coach a club that competes in all competitions, and especially the Champions League, and how he's going to be able to manage that and kind of the stress of being at a club like Chelsea, because at Brighton he had all the time in the world to develop what we're now seeing. But is he going to have that time at Chelsea? Is he going to have that pressure? Time will tell. But I do think that this is a very interesting appointment for the club. Just to speak quickly, I've kind of mentioned it throughout the video, but to speak quickly about some of the key issues that I think that he needs to sort immediately. First off, no surprises, the attack. So I've kind of been speaking about it throughout the course of the video, but I do want to take a moment to just go through the first key areas that I think that he's going to need to tackle in his time as Chelsea head coach. The first being, and I think this comes as no surprise to anybody, the attack. The attack has been beyond poor this season. It feels that if Raheem Sterling or Reece James don't pull something out of the bag, then nobody's scoring goals. This has been an issue throughout Thomas Tuchel's reign, that we haven't really been scoring so many goals, but previously the defense was solid, so that didn't matter as much. But it's something that's been super prevalent in especially the past couple of matches, and I think that this team needs some reinvigoration for where these players are playing on the pitch, what their best position is, attacking patterns. I don't know how to fix it, but this is the one key area that he really needs to focus on. Of course, the second one is the defense. We cannot be conceding 4 goals from set pieces already this early into the season. It's a major area of weakness. Seems like Koulibaly hasn't gotten up to snuff so far with the demands of the Premier League. He's looked a little bit shaky in his defending and in his positioning. You also have a completely new back line essentially coming in. I think that it's going to be important as well how you manage the team and how you manage the likes of Thiago Silva, Cesar Azpilicueta, for example, and how you get the team to understand their positions, because like we saw against Dinamo Zagreb, Wesley Fofana was playing center back. Against West Ham, he was playing right center back. That's confusing for players, and I think that once you have them dialed into a position, then maybe you can start doing that. But I think that it's going to be important for him to have a plan. Okay, how are we going to play? And then if this changes, where does everybody need to be? And be extremely, extremely clear on that, because it is a new defensive backline for Chelsea. The third thing is that I think that we're going to be seeing more of a focus on youth players, especially given the signings that Chelsea made this summer. And I think that that might have also been like a slight friction point perhaps for the new owners, because I believe Thomas Tuchel was the only manager not to give any minutes to teenagers last season in the Premier League. So I think that they're going to be looking at the teenagers. Maybe we see somebody like Carney, I can't say his last name, get some more minutes. Maybe we see Conor Gallagher coming more into the first team. Maybe we see some more reliance on other academy players. Now, I would not be surprised if Billy Gilmore somehow finds his way back to Chelsea. I feel so bad for him that he went to Brighton to play under Graham Potter and then he goes to Chelsea just a week later. I wouldn't be surprised if he finds his way back at some point as well, but I think that we're going to start seeing more youth players as well involved in Chelsea's first team. Those are three of the main things. I think overall it seems that Thomas Tuchel in the end lost a lot of the dressing room. So it seems that this dressing room was pretty divided at this point. You have a lot of new signings that were brought in under Thomas Tuchel. So he's going to have to figure out how to work with these signings as well and just make a cohesive team that gets back to winning ways and looks convincing again. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to need time and patience. I'm ready. I'm here for it. I will always support the team no matter what, but yeah, looking forward to see what he can get up to, and I do think that it's going to be a good appointment, but time will tell. Let me know how you're feeling about the appointment of Graham Potter as new Chelsea head coach in the comments. And if you like this video, make sure to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel, and until next time, I'm out. Bye!